Welcome, everyone, to your new moon in Libra solar eclipse that we have on October 2nd, 2024. We're going to talk all about this eclipse on Wednesday, October 2nd, and how you can make the most of it. Hey, William, nice to see you. Thank you for joining, and we are on for sure. And nice to see you, Casmar. Thank you for joining, too. So we're going to talk about this eclipse and how you can make the most of it. The energy is quite intense, but very, very positive overall. For those of you who do not know me, I am Joshua the Psychic, and you can find more information about my services, etc. at psychicsun.com. The link to free resources and readings, etc. are in the description below. So this new moon in Libra solar eclipse is at 10 degrees. We're going to ballpark it tonight. So when we do the readings for all the signs, we're going to be using the whole house system. If you were to get a reading with me personally, we'd be using Placidus, and we'd get a more detailed and specific look at how this eclipse is going to affect you. But because I don't know everybody in the world, their time of birth, we're going to have to do it this way. So just check for 10 degrees or consult an astrologer like myself, and you'll get exactly where it is. But this video should help you nonetheless. Hello, Pam. Nice to see you. Happy Thursday. Thank you for joining. So it's a Libra eclipse. A Libra is the only sign of the zodiac that is ruled by an inanimate object, which of course is the scales. So Libra has a feel that is very, very cool in a lot of respects, is very much about balance and equilibrium. And as they say, justice is blind. And as well as Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, Libra is considered a sign of emotional detachment, which is kind of funny, right? Because Libras are very partnership oriented. They seem anything but detached. But perhaps because some might say Venus, Libra and Taurus's ruling planet, has no moons, there's a certain emotional detachment for both of those signs, both Venus as well as Taurus. So the big thing with Libra is all about balance, right? It's the scales. So that's going to be a big theme. Partnerships are going to be a big theme, and harmony is going to be a big theme. Libras want to get along. Oftentimes, they go along to get along. And because this is a South Node eclipse, which I'm going to talk to you about what that means, we're actually having to release some Libra traits that might not be serving us. Because the North Node is in Aries. Collectively, we're having to become more independent. That's not to say that we won't use our Libra gifts to get ahead. We will, but we need to release low Libra energy. So are you balancing self and other? That's really what Libra asks, right? Or this eclipse is going to ask us. So what to expect? The solar eclipse, it usually is a very potent energy, and it can usher in change, significant change and transformation. Now, we have eclipses every year, right? So the fact of the matter is that some of them are not going to seemingly affect you. Of course, we're all connected, we're all one, and we all are affected in some level, right? On some level. And even if you're not affected by this eclipse, your best friend might be, your spouse might be, your boss might be, your coworkers might be, and therefore you are. But oftentimes there's an eclipse that happens and it doesn't really affect you. So it's often much ado about nothing on the surface. Of course, there are changes that are happening, but it really depends on if your chart, your specific chart, is being hit. So new beginnings, it's a solar eclipse. So it's a new moon, and it's the start of a new chapter, right? But it's a new moon, as they might say, on steroids. It's really intense new moon. And we'll talk about how this new moon is different than a typical new moon. Revelations and insights. Eclipses can bring hidden things to light. This might be unexpected news, secrets being revealed, or sudden insights into your personal situations. Those aha moments like, oh, wow, I never realized that. And then finally, solar eclipses can bring a sense of fate. Encounters or events that around this time might feel fated or particularly significant. You might have felt it already, you might be feeling it now, and you might be feeling it over the next 6 months. It really depends on your circumstances. So this eclipse in particular is a South Node eclipse. I'm going to show you the chart. Look at the where it says well, 1 over here. See, I got the sun and the moon, and then over here you got the south node. So it's a south node eclipse. What that means is that the the south node and the north node are different points, 2 different points, and we're all going toward, or we should be going toward the north node. However, in order to get to the north node, you need the south node. So yes, the north node is in Aries. We're having to embody Aries traits depending on where that's falling in our chart. If you have Aries or the north node, the transiting north node, which is in Aries in the second house, this is saying develop your talents, develop your gifts, increase your bank balance, right? If it's in your 7th house, it's saying become more of a partner-oriented person. So where the south node is the opposite of the north node, and that's where we're releasing. That's where we're letting go. So although this is a new moon, which is usually about new things, because it's a south node eclipse, because the sun and the moon are aligned with the south node, at the same time of these new beginnings, we're also releasing things. So it's not a typical new moon. That's why with eclipses, we say you don't light candles, don't do any form of magic if you can help it. It's very complicated, and it's very, very easy to screw things up. So I wouldn't mess around with candles. I think with an eclipse, you want to let the universe have its way with you. Like chances are throughout the whole entire year, you've been setting your intentions, you've been making your wish list, you've been lighting candles. Now you just let things go, because really all those intentions that you had set before might actually materialize under eclipse season. So let things be if you can help it. You might want to lie low around the time of the eclipse. So it's a south node eclipse. So we're clearing out low Libra expressions of energy that limit healthy connections. So low Libra expressions. Sometimes Libra can acquiesce too much. In fact, what Libra tends to do is they acquiesce and they go and they deal with it. They tolerate it. And then something happens. And it's like that cherry on the ice cream sundae, and they go off. And when Libras get mad, they leave nothing unsaid because it's been building. They've been so sweet and so kind and so understanding and so accommodating. And that one straw that hits the camel's back, and it's over. And as they say, hell hath no fury like a Libra scorned. Okay, so one of the things that I think is important with this is to not let things build. If you're having an issue with somebody on a regular basis, or if there are issues that come up on a daily basis, bring them up. You can bring them up diplomatically and gently, but you don't want to ignore them, because what's going to happen is they're going to build, and then we're going to have this crescendo, and it's going to be pretty intense. You're not going to be able to keep it in. Same thing, you might want to guide people along. It's sometimes interesting when we deal with people pleasers in our lives, and you're, oh, well, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. What do you want to do? And you're like, well, I want to shoot. Remember that song? Shoot. But you essentially say to them, like, I want to know what you really, really want. I want to know what is going to make you happy. Like when you love somebody, you really do want to please them. You don't want to necessarily be yes to death. They might think that you want them to go along with what you're saying, but really, if you love them, you want to make them happy and you want to keep them around. So you really do want to know. So if you're with somebody who's really Libra-like, you might want to just say to them, like, in a way of maybe something along the lines of, look, when I ask you what you want to do, I really want to know. It's not because I want to do what I want to do. I want to make sure that you're happy, because if you're happy, I'm happy. So you may want to do that. And if you're used to acquiescing a lot, well, you might not want to do that. You want to balance things out a bit. Other lower forms of Libra energy. Libras are about balance. So they're very prone to comparison. And comparison, as they say, I think it was Mark Twain who said, the comparison is the thief of joy. Libras can be very perfectionistic when it comes to their looks, especially the women. They can really be severe in terms of doing things to make themselves look a certain way. Think of like the idea of corsets, right? How like it's like terrible for your body, and it can actually, back in the old days, I think that women actually had their stomachs really, really hurt because these corsets were so very tight. So watch out for perfectionism, watch out, especially aesthetic perfectionism, watch out for being too accommodating, watch out for constantly comparing yourself, and watch out for, I would say, not asserting yourself. You don't want to acquiesce too much because, like I said, in pure Libra fashion, it's all going to build, and you don't want to deal with resentment, because this new moon, we're going to talk more about it in terms of the aspects. The ruler of Libra is Venus, and Venus this new moon is Scorpio. And the Scorpio problem, okay, that we all got to look at is that Scorpio's like drug at times of choice can be resentment. Nobody can resent like a Scorpio, right? So we got to watch out for that sense of resentment. We got to watch out for those things that build, that bother us, that we're not doing something about. Either you got to rectify the problem, you got to communicate about it, smooth it over, but you don't want to let those resentments build, right? Because we are going to be heading into Scorpio season after Libra season, of course. So you want to make sure that you're not feeling resentful. Additionally, in terms of clearing out Libra energies, I'm glad you concur. Yeah. Scorpios are strong people. We got to watch out for resentment. We got to do that. So Mercury square Mars happens in this eclipse. Look at the red here where it says 2. You got Mercury over here at 11. And then you got Mars, 11 degrees Libra. And then you got Mars over here at 15 degrees Cancer. So that's making a square. So that's one of the challenging aspects of this eclipse. There could be potential conflict or tension in communications. And you got to make sure that you're assertive, but not too assertive. Mercury is the planet of communications. Mars is war. These two are at a conflictual point with them being at a 90-degree angle. So you want to engage in careful dialogue and action. So you want to just check yourself, check your intent. Because sometimes when you're trying to make a point, has this ever happened to you? You're trying to make a point, but you know that when you're making your point, your intention is to maim. Your intention is not just make your point, but to hurt the person when you're making your point. Is that really necessary? So this is where a certain reflection comes in. I mean, realistically, you can make your point without injuring the person. For whatever reason, maybe we're at the end of our rope, we're tired, we're bothered. For whatever reason, we might feel with this energy between Mars and Mercury that we not only want to make our point, but we want to leave blood. We want to make blood, draw blood. So you just want to look at why you might be doing that. Are you in a bad mood? Are you feeling resentful? Is this person getting the brunt of old issues that might be coming up, right? In all of our relationships, we have these relationship stories. So I would say just be very careful. Like measure twice and cut once, because you don't want to do something that you're going to have to walk back, especially if the other person really isn't to blame or the other person is sensitive. We all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses. So somebody might be doing something that it really, really bothers you. And with this aspect, that's Mars Mercury aspect, it's very, very easy to get triggered and upset and go a little bit too far. So it's better to be diplomatic than to rip somebody's face off, okay? So just keep that in mind. You want to really be careful with your communications. As they say, you get more flies with honey than you do vinegar. And then my favorite part of this eclipse is the eclipse ruler is Venus, but more than that, it forms this grand water trine. So Libra's over here. It's the scales. The sun and the moon it's a new moon, are in Libra. The ruler of Libra is Venus, and Venus is over here in the sign of Scorpio. That's why this Libra new moon solar eclipse has a very scorpionic feel. Because the ruler of Libra is Venus, and Venus is in Scorpio. So this ruler of the chart ruler, is involved in a beautiful grand trine. So a grand trine, this is an equilateral triangle. You can see over here, it's labeled number 3. And essentially, all water signs are involved in this equilateral triangle. You got Venus in Scorpio at 11 degrees, making a beautiful 120-degree angle with Mars in Cancer at 15 degrees. And both of them are making a beautiful 120-degree angle with Saturn and Pisces. So you get the three water signs. Venus is in Scorpio, Mars is in Cancer, and Saturn is in Pisces. It's retrograde, but still. So this is going to give us a surplus of water energy. So one of my the greatest example I can think of, somebody who has a grand water trine, was Kurt Cobain. He may have been seen as a slacker, and that can be very watery too, because water is very passive. But when he would stay with people, one of his girlfriends left him one day for work, and he was sitting on the couch, and she comes back, and he has this big drawing of that's really, really lifelike, or he created all of this art in a very, very small amount of time. And of course, he was extremely prolific. Kurt Cobain had I believe a Virgo rising, so he's a very hard worker and a very perfectionistic worker at that. When he was here, but because he had a grand trine, he could create music, he could create art, he could be really empathetic to a lot of people, which is part of his popularity. He was really key to making the outcasts or the disenfranchised, those people that may have been bullied or picked on, etc. He gave them a voice, so to speak. So Kurt Cobain had this grand water trine in his chart, and that's what made him so successful, some might say, but mostly artistic. So we, this new moon, have a grand water trine, so it's ours. We have this new moon. So that means that we're going to have a surplus of water energy. You could say, okay, I'm going to put this water energy to achieving a deeper level of emotional security. I'm going to put this water energy to maybe finding a new house, which gives you emotional security. I'm going to put this water energy to my partner. I'm going to put it toward them, and I'm going to give them as much love as I possibly can. I'm going to put it toward finding a partner. Right? You can put it to whatever it is that you want. You can put it to art, creativity, emotional wellness, healing. I mean, you can put the water energy to whatever it is that you want. Scorpios, for instance, they need to have some kind of emotional stake in what they undertake. Like for a job, for a Scorpio to do a job, there needs to have some kind of heart and meaning, because they get bored very easily and they're not really into the inconsequential things. Whereas Libra is about balance, Scorpio is about extremes, right? So my point being that you can put this water energy to whatever it is that you want. You can put it toward finances, you can put it to your career, you can put it toward your friends, whatever it is that you want, but it's an emotional energy. So it's about really utilizing your own emotion in alignment with the emotion that's going to be in the heavens around this time, and really look at how you can flow that energy and move that energy and really even transform that energy, because water is very mutable. So you can put that toward whatever it is that you want. So that's really, really nice. So this grand trine, as we said, it's with Mars in Cancer, Saturn in Pisces, that Venus and Scorpio ruler. And the outcome is new emotional flows and supportive connections are being established. So you're creating a new flow. And that's going to be really, really nice, especially if your values or your life even has gotten jostled around, which wouldn't be a big surprise under eclipse season. So we're going to be able to get a nice new rhythm, which is perfect because we fairly recently started the fall season. So you're going to, new flow is coming up, and I would say just be really intentional and really ask yourself, because this is a self-note eclipse, what are you moving away from and what are you moving toward? What are you keeping, saying, you know what, I'm done this story. I don't want this in my life anymore. Instead, this is where I'm going toward. And you want to just make that really clear in terms of where you're moving away from and where you're going. Because as long as you're going in the direction of your ideals and your dreams, you know, you're on the right track. It's when you're going the opposite way. And that's really what eclipses do and eclipse seasons do. If you have a soul contract to do certain things in this lifetime, and you've been doing things that are not supportive of that contract, the eclipse is going to jostle things around a bit so you get put back on track. So it's a perfect universe. You just want to, if you see the writing on the wall, make the changes yourself. So this is our beautiful chart, as we said. Just going to number 1, you got the sun and the moon in Libra at 10 degrees. It's conjunct Mercury. Okay, so it's a very communicative eclipse. You might have a lot of stuff going on in your mind. You might be communicating with a lot of people. Again, I would say right around the eclipse, it's better to respond. Again, I do not say react, but respond to what other people do as opposed to making the first move and initiating, even though it is Libra and Libra is a cardinal initiating sign. But it's very communicative. So it's probably going to be a very, very busy 2 weeks at least. And really the next 6 months. I mean, there's going to be a lot of communications and relationships, a lot more. They're all going to be bumped up. And then, of course, we said with number 2, you got with the red here, Mercury, planet of communication, is making a square to that Mars. And you got the chart ruler, Venus in Scorpio, because Libra is ruled by Venus in this beautiful equilateral triangle, giving us a nice surplus of water energy. So, eclipse details. If you have a planet or point in your chart, and if you don't know, well, you can always get a reading or run your chart online, but you got to find out where you have a planet or point between 6 degrees and 14 degrees in the cardinal signs, which are Libra, Aries, Cancer, or Capricorn. If, for instance, you're at 10 degrees Cancer, you're going to be affected by this eclipse. If you're a Libra, Aries, Capricorn too, around those degrees. So just keep that in mind. So the tighter the orb, the more significant the change. So if you have a planet or point at smack dab on that 10 degrees, it's going to be pretty important. But again, it's not going to be a bad thing. It can be a brand new beginning that brings you to that next level. You can look at eclipses as up-leveling your life in some respects. So as we said, the area of your life affected is where 10 degrees of Libra falls in your chart. The last time we had this solar eclipse in Libra, which I believe was actually on October 3rd, of 2005 and 1986. So if you have a really, really good memory, you can go back to 1986 and see what you were doing in October of 1986, what themes were apparent. Or what might be easier is 2005. What was going on in 2005 and what themes were apparent? Now, it doesn't mean that if you had terrible things happen to you during those times that they're going to repeat necessarily. What it means is that, for instance, say you had some kind of move. You had to move your home and it wasn't a fun thing. You had to leave. You had to go to a different house, right? That may have been a real big problem. If that happened in 2005 or 1986, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to happen again. This eclipse, you might move though. So it's not like a catastrophic, oh shoot, I gotta move. It might be a matter of it being about emotional security, about domesticity, about up-leveling your life. So the situations aren't going to be mirroring from 2005 and 1986, but the themes may be still relevant. So see what happened. Did you go through a move? Did you go through a breakup? Did you get into a relationship? Did you change jobs? Find out what themes were relevant during that time, as you might see them replicated this eclipse season. So yeah, it would be really interesting. I wish I could remember what was going on in 1986. That would be cool. I think 2005 is going to be easier for me to remember. As we said about Libra, it represents balance, harmony, fairness, and justice. And justice is blind. So you just want to allow yourself to balance as much as possible. It concerns relationships. Libras are all about relationships and partnership and relating to others. Libra, of course, is the opposite of Aries, which is about independence. And out of all the polarities of the zodiac, I feel like Libra and Aries are the most contentious. Because Libra is so much about selflessness and consideration for other people. And Aries has a tendency to run roughshod through other people's lives without caring or having any consideration. And that really upsets the Libra mentality. So those two can be really, really tough. And what's an interesting fact, that if you're any sign, if you're a Libra and you're with an Aries, you will become an Aries because Libra will balance. And that's the cool thing about Libra. It will balance what they're being given. So if you're an Aries and you're in a relationship with a Libra, watch out, because Libra will mirror you and become just like you. I've seen that plenty of times. So it's very, very interesting. So that polarity is really fascinating. In all fairness to Aries, you got to remember, Aries is the very first sign of the zodiac. So it gets here first. They don't have anybody else around them. They're the only ones, right? It's the first sign. So from their perspective, their context is, well, I am the only one. They're not, and they find that out. Whereas think of Pisces, right? There are 11 signs prior to Pisces. So they're used to having all these people around them. They're used to sharing. And theoretically, what we're all supposed to do is all of our gifts, all of our talents, they're not ours. We're borrowing them from the light. And the problem is that what winds up happening is Aries wants the energy of the light for themselves because they're self-focused and they don't have anybody else to think about because they're the first sign. Whereas Pisces, when you get the Pisces energy from the sun, Pisces, all they want to do is share it, because they're more aware of others around them. And Pisces are natural sharers. All they do is share because they're just much more evolved, obviously. And they have the understanding of the law of one, how we're all connected. And they actually feel that connection. They're very empathic. They're very compassionate. They're very connected to everybody. So a Pisces is less likely to hurt you because that's like hurting themselves, because they feel you within them. Whereas an Aries is more likely to hurt you because they're unaffected by how you might feel because they're so individualistic. So now what we're doing, we're going smack dab in the middle of Aries and Pisces in Libra. And that's where we're at now. It's about balancing the energy that you're getting, balancing the energy you're getting from the light. Are you doing it to make yourself stronger, but are you also doing it for the others in your life? Are you balancing that focus on yourself with others? And it's going to be really, really cool, I think. So the eclipse touches on the balance between independence and relationships. So if you've been very, very relationship focused and codependent, you might be learning to depend on yourself more. If you've been way too autonomous and addicted to your autonomy and way too independent, well, this might be a time for you to partner up. So, as we said, this Libra new moon, we're going to go through your tarot scopes for this for every single sign. We're also going to touch upon Venus, how Venus is affecting you. And like I said, we're going to ballpark it. We're going to be using the whole house system. So we're going to be looking at where Libra is showing up in the whole house system for every single sign, as well as where Venus and Scorpio is, where there are blessings. But I would check your chart or get a reading if you're looking to find out exactly where this grand trine is, where Mars and Mercury is, everything is, just so you can make the most of it. But let's talk first about Aries. Aries, this new moon solar eclipse is hitting your 7th house. So it's all for you about partnerships. It's the house of partnerships. So there might be, because it's an eclipse, there might be a partner that is eclipsed out of your life, right? Or it might be a matter of certain things are eclipsed out of your life to make way for a partner. So themes that you can expect, especially around now, but really you're going to feel these over the next 6 months: relationship dynamics. If you've been in a sort of pattern in your relationships, well, this is going to bring a very strong light to them, so to speak, and it's probably going to clear them out. There might be unexpected allies. There might be people that you didn't really know have your back and can be very, very good for you. The point of this eclipse is for you to cultivate connections and really allow yourself to determine what you need. Remember, you can't be you without somebody else being them. You need that balance. So how can an Aries be an Aries, or how can any of us be any of us, unless we have the other, right? Because it's that balance. It's that balance of like, oh, how am I differentiating, right? How do you differentiate yourself from other people? And that creates more of your identity. Well, I would never do that. But again, you need that comparison to help you further individuate. And with Venus in Scorpio, it's hitting your 8th house. That Venus, your passion is being reborn. So Venus is transiting your 8th house, it being in the sign of Scorpio. And what does that mean? But, your boundaries right now are being blessed, those ones that you set and those ones that you dissolve. Your intimacy is being blessed right now by via Venus. Joint enterprises and combining resources with other people are being blessed right now. But the big theme for you, Aries, is you're smoothing out a new relationship story over the next 6 months. So if you're in the habit of saying, every time I get in a relationship, this happens to me, stop, right? Because this is an opportunity for a new story or a new timeline. What has the story been? And you got to take responsibility for it, because if you don't take responsibility for it, you're never going to change it. As soon as we say, mea culpa, my fault, I did it, this is my life, I've created this reality, I take full drastic responsibility, then you are empowered. Because then when you have control over it, then you can change it. If when you're it's when, those fingers, all that becomes thumbs and you're pointing to yourself, that's when you're going to actually be able to make the changes. So take drastic responsibility and say, okay, why do I keep creating this relationship dynamic? And when you're in it, it's very difficult because it's like, all guys are this or all girls are that. And, all people are like that. Well, no, I mean, the common denominator is you, right? So you want to just look at and see what stories you have going on and what new story would be more preferable. And once you start practicing that new story and thinking about it from that context, right? Aries has a tendency to play the victim. So when you allow yourself to make sure that you're not being in that space and taking responsibility, you're going to be much more empowered. And that's going to help you to not only further individuate, but to determine what moves you need to make in order to go to that next level in your relationships. So let's see, Aries, what wisdom you get from the tarot. Wisdom for Aries, wisdom for Aries, wisdom for Aries, wisdom for Aries, wisdom for Aries. Love. I love it. So Two of Cups comes up, Aries. Perfect card for you. This is your house of partnerships, this transit. So the Two of Cups come together. I share my truth with you. It's when you are bringing your truth to somebody else and they're sharing their truth with you and you come together. And when that happens, there's a healing that takes place. That's the medical symbol. I forget the name of it. But whenever two people come together and they share love, there is a healing, right? So this is an opportunity for you to really connect and to really love. And as they say, teach love, for that is all that you are. All energy at its basis is love. So definitely connect with other people. I love how you got Two of Cups during this house of partnership. So definitely love everything as much as you possibly can. And ask yourself, like the Course in Miracles says, teach love, for that is all that you are. When you're having to communicate with people about things, are you doing it from this place of, I have to get into a fight and I have to scratch somebody's eyes out? Or are you doing from this place of, well, I'm going to give love to this person and I'm going to say what I need to say to them with love and avoid an upset? So congratulations, Aries. You got Two of Cups for this new moon. Teach love, for that is all that you are. And Taurus. So Taurus, this is going to be a new moon that's hitting your 6th house, which is nice. The 6th house is all about your day-to-day grind, the nuts and bolts of your daily operations, what you do day in and day out. So it's a time for you to really assess your routines. Do you like this exercise that you're doing all the time? Are you still into your diet, or is it boring? Tauruses are probably not bored with their diet. I think they'd probably switch it up straight away if they were. Even though Tauruses are a creature of habit, they are the foodie of the zodiac, so that's probably not an issue. But I will say that Tauruses can be slaves to their habits at times. They can be highly traditional when it comes to their traditions. So you want to look at your routines. Are they aligned with your values? With your Uranus having been in Taurus for the past several years, it seems, your values may have been jostled around. And if you're doing things day in and day out that aren't aligned with your value, you're wasting values, you're wasting your time. Because what is happiness but value fulfillment? So look and see what your values are and make sure that your routines, what you do day in and day out, the habits that you have, are aligned with those values. Prioritize self-care. You've got to make sure that your lifestyle is of service to you, because if it's in service to you, you're going to be able to serve other people, which is the whole point of the 6th house. How can you be of service to your fellow human beings, right? So look and see what you need to do in order to feel as perfect as possible. And then keystone habits. What things do you need to do on a regular basis that are going to keep you aligned, that are going to keep you in a good space? Remember, the mood that you're in is very, very important, as your mood is going to dictate in a lot of respects what you attract. So you want to be in the mood to fall in love. You want to be in the mood to win $1 million, etc. So make sure that your habits that you have every day are really good for your mental health, and let go of those that might not be. Venus is in your 7th house. Venus is in Scorpio, and Venus is the ruler of this chart. So your relationships are probably going to be able to transform really beautifully. You know, with Venus in your opposite sign, Taurus, your relationships, there's a lot of water that's blessing them. This could be water to clear the way and get somebody out of your life, or it could be water to transform your relationships that you're in, but they're likely to transform beautifully with Venus being in that area of your chart. But the big thing to you, Taurus, refine your daily habits in light of your values over the next 6 months. You know, it might be a matter of having a series of conversations with yourself. And, you know, this is why journaling is so important, even meditating, because an object in motion likes to stay in motion. And that's true for Taurus. So you want to ask yourself, what is really important to me? What are my top 4 or 5 values? What do I care about more than anything else? What is most important in my life? And then really looking and seeing, well, what am I doing day in and day out to help fulfill those values? So let's see, Taurus, what wisdom you get from the tarot for your new moon, solar eclipse in Libra. Wisdom for Taurus, wisdom for Taurus, wisdom for Taurus. The Tower. So the wisdom for you is sometimes you just got to wreck it all. You got to put that big wrecking ball to your entire life, or at least a portion of your life. The Tower advice is really about, don't keep building on faulty foundations. This is why telling the truth is really, really important, because if you start a relationship off with a lie, you're building it on very shaky ground. And with the Tower card, the thinking is that there's some kind of foundational system that is in place that is no longer working. Either the system has a crack in it, or it's been faulty from the start, or it just is no longer working for you. The Tower card at the end of the day is about outgrowing your environment. And some might even call it an escape from prison, right? It relates to the Tower of Babel. When these guys that were so arrogant, they wanted to build this tower to reach God and be better than him. And God got really mad and struck the tower down with lightning, and everybody was speaking in tongues because he wanted to humble them. So the Tower is like a humbling from a higher plane. There's something in your life that needs to be demolished or destroyed in order for you to build something new on more solid ground. Now, remember, destruction is really the first phase of creation. We have to destroy in order to create. Think of your muscles. What you're doing is you're breaking down the energy there, right? You're breaking down the fibers so it gets stronger. So there are going to be some things in your life that you need to allow yourself to destroy and demolish. Okay, you don't have to do it straight away. And the Tower event, it can be pretty intense, and your life might not be as recognizable as it was before. So, these are general readings, so I would take them with a grain of salt. But if it resonates with you, it resonates with you. I would just say, what's a good example? It's almost like you wouldn't. Okay, here's the example. So you're having a really, really nice dinner. The dinner being, your life, what you're creating in the world. You wouldn't create your dinner on this table that is very precarious and is very much about ready to break down at any moment, with it having only 3 legs on it, or the legs of the table being really faulty, or there being a crack in the surface. You wouldn't put your china and your beautiful silverware and your glasses, your crystal glasses on this table. It's stupid. And that the problem with the Tower card is that it looks like you might be doing that in some area of your life. You're adding energy, you're trying to build something upon something that is faulty, and that is going to come crashing down. And the more shit you put on this table that's expensive, the worse your losses. So one of the meanings of the Tower card is to cut your losses. Stop adding shit to this table that is going to break down and fall, right? Determine where in your life you need to create a stronger foundation on which more can be built. And yeah, enjoy your new moon, and don't worry about that. It may resonate, may not. Gemini. So Gemini, this is a fun transit for you. It's hitting your 5th house. Your ooh, is that correct? Yeah, it's hitting your 5th house. My mind was on Scorpio for a second, and I'm like, Scorpio is not in Gemini's 5th house, but again, it might be a very Scorpio feeling transit, but it is the new moon in Libra. So Libra and Gemini are both air signs, so this is hitting your 5th house, Gemini. It's going to be easy peasy for you, theoretically. It's all about savoring joy and enjoying your life, and allowing yourself to do those things that you really, really love. The 5th house is about things that you really get a kick out of. This could be something that you create artistically. This could be your children, right? Because that's what you create as well. It also could be going to the bar. It could be, going to arcades. It could be miniature golfing. It could be going to Disney. It's the things that light you up and make you feel young at heart. It also can pertain to romance. But when it comes to romance in the 5th house, it's not necessarily getting married or a committed partnership. There's a certain level of casualness with the relationships that are in the 5th house. I mean, you might have, certain tacit agreements in these relationships, but they're not partnerships a la 7th house. And creative potential that you can really allow yourself during this period to really tap into your gifts and your creativity. Meanwhile, you got Scorpio, Venus and Scorpio hitting your 6th house, and that's blessing your daily routines and your work. So if you're not happy with your work situation, over the next 6 months, you probably will be able to change it, because Venus is really doing a wonderful job with this eclipse in helping you to really reshape your day-to-day regime. But the most important thing is to embrace new avenues of creativity and love, anything that you love, over the next 6 months. You just got to love more. If you are not have a lot of energy, right? Remember, all energy at its basis is love. So theoretically, if you don't have enough energy, if you're just feeling exhausted and tired, well, you got to do things that you love more. And what's cool, granted, say you're in a full-time job and you need it for the stability, the assurance, etc., that's fine. But if you're doing more things that you love, then the energy that you're getting from that expression, the releasing of energy that you're getting, right, by doing what it is that you love, will spill over into other areas of your life. So if you're looking for more miracles, if you're looking for more energy, love more. Love yourself more, love your friends more, love your family more, your husband more, etc., and your work more as much as you can. Because with Venus in the work sector of your chart, there could be, not only could there be changes on the work front that are advantageous to you, but it also could be, you could find love in work. So you never know. So let's see, Gemini, what wisdom you get from the tarot for your new moon in Libra. Wisdom for Gemini. 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 So Gemini, strike while the iron is hot. The 8 of Wands is about communication. It's Mercury in Sagittarius. Lots of information is coming about right now. Over the next 6 months, especially. So you want to strike with the iron's hot. You want to allow yourself to cope with demands. You might want to just be really, really bold and say, this is what I need to do, right? The 8 of Wands can also be aligned with love at first sight. So be on the lookout And it doesn't, I mean, obviously it could be a person, but you could fall in love at first sight when you see a preview to a movie that you might want to see. Or you see an actor whose work you want to learn more about, or a book, or whatever, right? So strike while the iron is hot. You might find yourself wanting to go on a trip. I would say that could be really, really good for you. Maybe there's something that I'm not seeing that's going on with your ninth house that could be really important, because that's lined with Sagittarius. So I would just be bold, strike while the iron is hot, and allow yourself to move quickly. Move quickly and carefully, but also quickly. And if something is over, let it be over. Sometimes the Eight of Wands is like, it's just run its course. It doesn't mean the relationship was bad or you shouldn't have been in it. There are no bad relationships, just some that last longer than others. So happy new moon, Gemini. Cancer, we're going to go to you in 1 second. I just need to get something very quickly, and I will be back. Everybody sit tight. All right, thank you guys. So Cancer, this new moon solar eclipse is hitting your 4th house. So it's all about your emotional security. How can you feel really at home within the self? How can you tap into that energy of Mama Bear, making sure that you're feeling really yummy on the inside, really taken care of, really supported, really protected, really nourished, really loved. So it's the divine mother energy. And no matter how amazing your mother may have been, through the process of individuation, we as adults all have to determine how we need to self-parent ourselves. That's tapping into the divine mother, but also the divine father. This for you is the divine mother energy. So you might want to coddle yourself during this time. I mean, you're a Cancer, so you really should be coddling yourself a lot. But it's about your home and family. So where it is that you feel where your dwelling is, right? Your actual home. You might find yourself wanting to change homes and move or redecorate or renovate. It also could be about family, the people that are in your life that you consider your family of choice or your family of origin. At the end of the day, it's all about your self-trust. How can you feel really as if you got your own back? I get that question a lot in my readings. Does this person have my back? And sometimes it's no, because you don't have your own back. Because everything's a reflection. So if you have your own back and you're telling yourself, I got you, you're going to be fine, whether or not this person shits the bed, etc., then you're going to most likely find people that you can trust, because everything's a reflection. So focus on that self-trust. Nurture your bonds. How can you nurture your relationships? Because that's going to give you a stronger sense of emotional security too, because the more love that you generate, the more emotion you generate, the more of an insulation it's going to give you. It's going to make you feel insulated and loved and all tucked in. And that's the big thing for you, Cancer. You want to feel really tucked in and at home within the self during this period. Meanwhile, Venus is in Scorpio. The ruler of the chart is Venus, which is in Scorpio. So that's hitting your 5th house of play and creativity. So your creative expression during this period could be very highly valued. This could be a great time for you to create something new that you really, really love. It's a great time for you to have an affair, to enjoy romance, to really express yourself and do those things that light you up. And it could be very, very valuable to your life, and it could be very advantageous financially, because Venus does rule money as well as love and beauty. So, and you can also create something that's highly beautiful. Maybe you could create a baby during this period and your baby's really, really beautiful, or an art project, etc. that's really, really beautiful. So the big thing, though, is invest in your sanctuary. What do you need to do? Maybe you need to go on a shopping spree at Bed Bath and Beyond and, get a whole bunch of really, really nice pillows, right? Making your space more comfy. And invest in your family ties, like nurture those connections over the next 6 months. And that's going to, make you feel really, really good. Cancers are always, on that search for that level of emotional security. You got to remember, Cancer is ruled by the moon. And it's not easy being a Cancer because the moon is very, very sensitive and it's very, very changeable. And, there's always this sense with Cancer, oftentimes, like, something, I'm going to lose it. Something is going to drop. And it's true because it's ruled by the moon and the moon is constantly changing. So there's a certain trepidation. And that's why with Cancers, there's often an overemphasis on security. Capricorn, its opposite sign, usually gets called, the greedy one. However, Cancer can be just as security oriented as Capricorn, if not more so. Because remember, Cancer is emotional about it, right? So find out what it is that's going to make you feel emotionally secure. It might not be what you think it is, So do whatever you can to mum and bear yourself during this period. And let's see, Cancer, what wisdom you get from the tarot. Wisdom for Cancer. 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 Interesting. You got the Hermit. So the Hermit card, which makes a lot of sense. The Hermit card is actually a really important card in the tarot. It's the highest single digit, 9, and it's really all about searching within for that inner light and allowing yourself to have that quiet contemplation to determine the next stage of your journey. The 9, because Hermit is number 9 in the tarot, it is about completing a cycle. So you are in this process of finalizations, and you might feel a little bit more ambivalent when it comes to relationships. You might feel as if this is a time in which you really want to hermit. You really want to be with yourself. And that's okay. Maybe you need to do that in order to really find out what it is that you're looking for, what it is that you really need. The Hermit is all about like seeking deeper meaning. Likewise, the other side of the Hermit that you might be dealing with is if you've been hermit-like for a while, this new moon might be encouraging you to come out of your shell, to rejoin the world, to integrate yourself again. So you can determine where you are on your path. If you've been too much around other people, you might want a hermit. If you've been too much of a hermit, you might want to get in the world again. And happy new moon, Cancer. So Leo, this new moon is hitting your house of communication. That's nice. So it's going to be a very social time for you. You're going to be talking a lot and communicating a lot, and probably, these short distance trips, you might go on a few trips. You might be visiting neighbors. You might be engaging with your siblings. The third house it encompasses a lot. It is your mindset. It's your communications. It's your neighborhood. It's your siblings. It's your short trips. It's places that you go on a regular basis that you frequent, right? So there's a lot here, but at the end of the day, it has to do with your mindset. How are you thinking? Are you thinking from that place of already having what it is that you want? Are you thinking from that place of the disenfranchised individual who is always feeling either put upon or taken advantage of, etc.? Because where you're coming from determines where you're going. So find out where you want to go and get your mind there. Oh yeah, I'm in a new relationship story. I forgot. I actually am in balanced relationships, whatever it might be. So reconnect. You're going to want to connect with people with a third house transit. It's all about talking and chatting. Obviously, don't talk too much. Loose lips sink ships, right? Fresh perspective, seeing things from a new perspective could be very helpful for you. It's about teaching and learning, communicating. You might want to take a new class. You might want to do something new intellectually. And genuine interactions. You want to allow yourself to communicate how you actually feel about things. Venus in Scorpio is in your 4th house of home and family. So your home is blessed with love and beauty. So with Venus transiting the house area, the home area of your chart, the emotional security area of your chart, you're going to be able to create a stronger sense of emotional self trust and self-love. You're going to be really able to tap into that divine mother and nurture yourself in ways that you need to be nurtured. But the main focus is on clear communication, especially with yourself, right? The most important person you'll ever communicate with is you. So you want to, talk to yourself. And even if you're in a bad mood, you can say, okay, you get to be in a bad mood today, but tomorrow you got to, focus on your blessings, focus on your gratitude. And focus on those social bonds that you have, those connections that you have with other people, particularly neighbors, siblings, the people that you deal with day in and day out, coworkers, etc. So let's see, Leo, what wisdom you get from the tarot for your new moon in Libra. Wisdom for Leo, wisdom for Leo, wisdom for Leo, wisdom for Leo, wisdom for Leo. Oh, the Death card. Again, these are general readings. There's no way that when you're doing tarot readings that it's going to line up for every single person who is under this sign. However, it may, you never know, it may be a reason why you're listening to this video, but the Death card essentially is saying something is going bye-bye. Okay, something has reached its natural state of ending. And the Death card is saying, let it go. Let it go. If something is more trouble than it's worth, let it go. I.e., if you're in a relationship and this person has you crying all the time, let him go. If you're in a job and you're always stressed and you're feeling constantly disenfranchised, well, transform the job. Either leave it or have a come to Jesus moment with your boss, etc. But the Death card is saying something needs to go. This card is not necessarily bad, and it actually doesn't involve an actual death. Very rarely will the Death card depict a physical death. If anything, it's a birth. But essentially, the big thing with the Death card is once the past is mourned, you're able to then really enjoy these new beginnings. But if you don't allow yourself to process the death and the pain that you're going through, if you don't process that, you're not going to be able to create a new beginning. You're going to return to the scene of the crime and repeat what happened before for you to process. That's why therapy is really helpful. Anything that you can do to process your emotions, so you've gotten that out of the way, right? So many of the issues that we have in our lives, relationship wise, is that we're not processing these old traumas. So we're not processing them. We're thinking, you know what? I'm strong. I can go on to the next thing. It'll be different this time. And what do? We process it through repeating the same situation with another person. But if you process the past, if you process that trauma, if you heal from it, you then are able to create a new story. And that's really what these eclipses are all about. How can you create a new story that serves you? What are you ready for? And a lot of times it's a matter of, you got to look at yourself. Are you ready to be loved? Are you ready to be valued in your job? Are you ready for peace? That's the most important one, because if you're not ready for peace, you're only going to be able to attract and handle chaos. So have these conversations with yourself. What needs to die in your life? And what do you need to mourn? What may have you gone through that you didn't realize really, really affected you? How can you heal from that and enjoy that metamorphosis? So happy new moon, Leo. So Virgo, happy new moon in Libra, Virgo. This is hitting your second house of values and resources, which is really, really nice. So it's all about your talents and what you value in life and your sense of self-worth. And all of that really aligns with the money that you make. In the old days, talent, the word talent was a unit of measure. I would give you a talent, and then you would give me something in exchange for that. Nowadays, what do? But we utilize our talents and we exchange our talents for money or more talent, because talent was money before. So this is an opportunity for you to really sit down with yourself and say, you know what, at this stage of my life, you just had a birthday, right? At this stage of my life, this is what really matters to me. This is what's important. I know that before I was really, really all about my job, but now I'm really looking to be loved and to love other people or love somebody else. Or I've really been focused on this. Now I want to have a baby. I've been really focused on this in my life. I really don't care about it anymore. It does not matter much to me. So you want to look at what you really value, and that is going to make you more valuable, because value fulfillment is happiness, and happiness results in monetary blessings, right? At the end of the day, I think it's because everybody wants to be happy. So when you're happy, people want you because you have a better chance of making them happy because you're happy, right? You've cracked the code. And your energy when you're happy is lighter, and you're able to manifest more because you're more in spirit, and you're able to tap into the spirit of prosperity, the spirit of romance, etc. Right? So realign your self-worth, Virgo. It's a time for you to really zone in and say, you know what? This is what I'm really good at. Virgos have a tendency to be very, very shy and sometimes self-deprecating. And because they're so critical, they're more likely to look at what their shortcomings are as opposed to where they really are excellent. I mean, nobody can really outwork a Virgo, right? So tap into that energy of self-worth. Know what you bring to the table, and don't be afraid to eat alone. And if you're looking for more money, well, this is a great time for you to really tap into that energy. But remember, it's all a mirror. So if you are seeing yourself as valuable and you're expressing your values through your habits and your routines and your lifestyle, you're going to be able to attract more. Now, you got Scorpio, Venus and Scorpio hitting your third house. So you're gonna be very, very good at communicating, and you're probably going to be a very charming communicator. So your communication will bless others during this time. But the big news is, because it's a second house transit for you, is align with your natural talents. What are you naturally good at? And your prosperity. You know, Virgos are an earth sign. If you're looking for more abundance, well, then tap into the energy of the earth, which is very abundant. Look at all the greenery that is everywhere, the animals, the air in plenitude, and the water and the blood running through your veins, your body, right? So tap into those earthy energies, and you're going to be able to tap into that energy of earth, which is money as well. And when you're, again, tapping into your own inherent natural abundance, you're going to be more abundant. So let's see, Virgo, what wisdom you get from the tarot for your new moon and Libra solar eclipse. Wisdom for Virgo. Wisdom for Virgo. Wisdom for Virgo. Wisdom for Virgo. Look at what you get. You get 2 of Cups too. Who else got this? I forget. But it's wonderful. So the 2 of Cups is the love card, right? 2 cups come together. I share my truth with you. And that's what love is, when you're sharing your truth, when you're sharing your everything, right? It's 2 people coming together. So share your truth during this period, because there's a lot of healing. This is the medical symbol. So when 2 people come together with 2 of Cups, share your truth. This is really, really great. So you want to, even if it's a professional thing, be honest. You don't have to be unprofessional by being lovey-dovey, but you want to be honest and share your truth with those people. And I'd say with 2 of Cups, focus on just providing love and value to everybody that you meet, even if you never see them again. I mean, what's the harm in giving a smile to the checkout person at the market or the toll booth collector? Like what, they've done actual studies in which if you smile at a toll booth collector, because I guess their jobs are, they're terrible suicide rates, these toll booth collectors, because nobody wants to see them, similar to the dentist, right? But if you smile at them, I think they've done studies that it actually can help them. So be sure to love as much as possible during this period and manifest whatever it is that you want. If you're looking for new love, then this is the time for you to do that. Maybe it's a matter of shifting it, right? Even if you're moving into another area of self-expression and values, this could be about finding a mentor or tapping into the energy of somebody else that you want to emulate or learn from, or etc. So definitely connect with other people, and happy new moon. So Libra, you're the star of the show. Happy new moon solar eclipse in your sign. The first house eclipse, but again, if you're a 28-degree Libra, or even a 1-degree Libra, you're probably not going to be feeling it. You may, depending on what other points you have in your chart. But remember, it's that energy from 6 degrees to 14 degrees. If you're around there, that's when you're going to feel it. But an eclipse in your sign, it makes you very, very much on a transformative path. You know, the house of identity is really everything, because we get in life not what we want so much as what we are or what we feel on a very deep subconscious level that we deserve. So you want to reflect on your lessons that you've had over the past year. What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about who you are and who you want to be? Because who you want to be, according to Nietzsche, who is a Libra, is who you are, right? So reflect on your lessons. What things do you not want to do? What things do you want to do? And embrace the journey. You know, this is a new beginning for you in terms of your identity. Don't feel as if you're tied to one thing, one job, one person, one workout regime, one diet, one place to live, one country. Like, allow yourself to just be, I think, in a lot of respects, you know, like a fool in a lot of ways. Meanwhile, Venus is in Scorpio, and it's in a beautiful grand trine this lunation, and Venus for you hits your second house. So this is really good for your money. Money can be very, very good for you. But also, you're able to really, really shine brightly in the world because your sense of self-worth is really, really strong. So again, we're all telepathically communicating. With Venus in your second, your sense of self-worth is really, really strong. You're broadcasting that. And what do people say? Oh, geez, she's a high value woman, right? Or we want to give her this job, or whatever it might be. So your self-worth shines brightly during this period. The big thing for you, though, is to apply the year's lessons and grow personally over the next 6 months. How do you want to grow? How do you want to expand? What do you want to do? Because it's all about your self-construct. You have to self-identify with whatever it is that you want. For instance, say you want a new lover, right? You have to self-identify as somebody who easily attracts new lovers, right? If you want a new job, if you want to make an extra $150K a year, you got to self-identify as somebody who is capable of making that kind of money, right? It's all about your self-construct. It's how you perceive yourself. That's why a solar eclipse in your sign is a really great opportunity. Are you identifying, in fact, as a happy person? Because if you can self-identify as a happy person, then you're more than likely going to be putting yourself in that proximity of achieving value fulfillment, which results in happiness. So let's see, Libra, what wisdom you get from the tarot. Wisdom for Libra. Wisdom for Libra. Wisdom for Libra. Seven of Pentacles. So the Seven of Pentacles is a time of assessment. You notice in this card, this guy has done a lot of work. Look at all those pentacles there. But, you know, he's leaning on his hoe and he's looking at these pentacles and he's assessing. He's like, okay, well, what have I done so far? Where am I at? And with the Seven of Pentacles, there is almost like a fear of failure. Oftentimes, the Seven of Pentacles over the years, since literally the 1990s, I found that the Seven of Pentacles usually comes up when somebody wants to change a job, but they have stability at their job, they've been there a long time, they want to do something else, but they're not ready to leave because they're afraid of the unknown. And you can also see this in terms of relationships. You can also see this in terms of anything, be it, you know, diet or friends or workouts that you might wind up doing, etc. So allow yourself to assess, but once you assess, allow yourself to make changes that make sense for you. But the big thing is, don't fear failure. You're in a very, very bold time in your life right now with this eclipse. So think of all the things that could go right. Remember, you're always trusting in something. You're never without trust, meaning even if you think things are going to go terribly, you're trusting that things are going to go terribly. It might be advantageous for you to just make the decision that you're always trusting that things always work out for you. And if you can say that in your head, you're self-identifying as somebody for whom things always work out, right? And that's what you want to do. because all circumstances are neutral. You assign positive meaning to an inherently neutral circumstance, and you're going to drive positive results. So the best thing for you to do during this period is to label things positive. Everything that happens. This happened. Okay, good. Person canceled on me and I'm all ready to go. Good. This is great. Fine. You got to always do that. Label things positive and you'll derive positive results. And if you can identify as a happy person, you're going to be more happy. And that's also going to be a shortcut to getting everything to fall in your place. Just reminding yourself, oh yeah, I'm a happy person. If you have things that you need to sort out or release or let go of, don't do that, because you don't want to be, you don't want to wear yourself out. So if you're going through something, do whatever you can to heal it. But if everything's going pretty well and you're in a good space, just allow yourself to self-identify and remind yourself, oh yeah, I'm a happy person. I'm a happy person, and that'll help you. So happy new moon, Libra. So Scorpio, this is going to be an interesting transit for you. A lot of inner growth. This is a 12th house transit, Scorpio, and the 12th house is it's greatly underestimated, because the 12th house has to do with the subconscious, and really everything is about your subconscious. It's all about your beliefs. The things that you wind up attracting in your life are due to your strongest held beliefs, some of which you might not even be cognizant of. So this is a great time for you to grow inwardly. If you are stuck in certain paradigms and you're like, this always happens, or why am I always being taken advantage of, or why do I never get what I want in this regard? Again, this is an opportunity for you to change the coding that is clearly in your own brain that is sending signals throughout your whole body and your aura and your consciousness and broadcasting out into the world. The buck stops with you, right? So you want to really think about taking responsibility for what's in your brain. Granted, it's not your fault. In fact, I believe oftentimes the 12th house in a chart has to do with what was going on with your mother when you were in her belly. So it's like what was going on when you were in that gestation period, right? So if a mother is pregnant with a child and she smokes a cigarette, she shares that cigarette with the child. But also, if a mother is going through anxiety or pain or depression or whatever, she's sharing that with the child, those same chemicals, right? So then when you're born, automatically you're tabula rasa, you're a blank slate. So all your beliefs you're getting from those that are around you. Not even talking about the ones that are absolutely told to you, but the ones that your parents might have that go unsaid. And if your mother had one set of beliefs and your father had another, or you were raised by different people, well, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in your subconscious. So now is your time to really think, okay, this is what I believe. This is the programming. You might want to think about what it is that you want and say, well, what would somebody who has that, what do they believe? And allow yourself to utilize this moon to really make them a belief. The 12th house is the transit you're going through, and it's about changes. It's about endings. What finales? Typically, we all have our days in which we're, okay, I hate my life. I think we do. There are just some days that are just not great. Even if you have, the most fabulous job, the most fabulous spouse, the most fabulous body, etc., you're going to have days that suck. But if you're having on a regular basis, you're noticing another day, and things are not feeling more good than bad, that means that you got to make a change. Because we all have those one-offs in which we get into legendary bad moods. However, when it's become this regular thing in which it's not just a job that's bad, but it's making your life miserable, allow yourself to end it. The 12th house is a good time for you to end it. It's a really great time for you to retrain your mind. This is why we have so many resources that are out there now. We have affirmations we can do. We can listen to self-hypnosis tapes. We can listen to subliminal binaural beats while we're sleeping. I mean, we have so many resources that allow us to train our unconscious mind. The big thing to remember when you're retraining your mind is that you're going to get in life two things, are based on two things: the pictures you paint in your head and the things that you say to yourself. So the best thing that you can do is paint pretty pictures and say positive things. Do not say anything after the phrase I am that you do not want to be true. You never want to say I am sick, or I'm such an idiot, or I don't know, I'm a moron, or whatever it might be. You never want to do that because you're making a statement. That I am is really, really important. In fact, a long, long time ago, it was illegal to say I am because it was so powerful. So you want to allow yourself to make sure that you're connecting with the I am that is the best for you. And you also want to make sure that you're focusing on what it is that you want, not what you don't. So remember, there's two things that are important for you. The words that you say to yourself and the pictures that you paint in your head. So think about what it is that you want, what words are going to give you support for those ends, and what pictures are going to support that end for you as well. Because that's what you get in life, what you focus on. And this is a great time for you to get what you want. So retrain your mind. Meanwhile, Scorpio, Venus is in your sign, which is awesome. So your essence attracts admiration. Does it ever? If anybody's essence attracts admiration, it's Scorpios. At least the women, I think. More than the men, quite frankly. The men are very different than the women, I find. I find the women wonderful. I really don't know that many Scorpio men, but the women I think are great. For a longest time, most of my clients were Scorpio women. But essentially, your essence with Venus in your sign is your essence is just beautiful and voluptuous, perhaps, with Venus, and sensual, and you're just going to attract a lot of really great stuff, admiration. So allow yourself to be in receptive mode. Scorpio has really a very more of a defensive posture, right? Like they're not really going to attack, but they're going to be ready to attack, right? To defend themselves in a lot of respects. So one thing you might want to do, because you have Venus in your sign, it's going to make you more receptive. So are you receptive to more love? Are you receptive to appreciation? Are you receptive to more money? Whatever it is that you might want, right? Because with Venus in your sign, you're going to be able to attract a lot. You're going to be able to attract more love, admiration, money, etc. But if you have your dukes up and you're being very, very cagey and very suspicious, which Scorpios are prone to be, then you're not going to necessarily be able to get all of those gains that you normally would from the openness of Venus. Remember, Venus is about femininity. It's about openness. So be really clear and self-identify, combine it with your 12th house transit, self-identify as somebody who is open to love. Self-identify as somebody who is open to admiration, to lots of money, etc. And the big thing for you, though, of course, is dive deep into your self-awareness and your spirituality. What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about yourself? And that'll be really, really helpful to you, I'm sure. Just retrain your subconscious and think deeply. So let's see, Scorpio, what wisdom you get from the tarot. Wisdom for Scorpio. Wisdom for Scorpio. Wisdom for Scorpio. Wisdom for Scorpio. Ooh. Two of Wands. So the Two of Wands is oftentimes it's success in one or more area. In terms of partnerships, there might be partnership problems. Two of Wands is not the best card for partnerships because essentially it's about your personal power, right? And this card is really telling you got to tap into your personal power and allow yourself to create the world that you want to live in. The Two of Wands actually might be the minor arcana equivalent of the Magician card, which is about tapping into the power of the universe and manifesting miracles. The Two of Wands, you're making that power more personal, right? And then you're able to look at the world and say, okay, this is what I want in this world. So I would say allow yourself to focus on what it is that you want, focus on manifesting what it is that you want, and allow yourself to have success in more than one area, which does indeed make sense because Jupiter, planet of luck and fortune, is in the sign of Gemini, the sign of the twins. So we all could benefit for having more than one job, more than one passion, etc. And happy new moon. Hey, Marla, nice to see you. Oh, Casmar, I hope that was helpful to you. Oh boy, I hope it was an oh boy moment. It is a thought world. Nice to see you, Marlo. Thanks for joining. And thank you, William. I'm very thorough. I appreciate that. I hope that's helpful to you. So Sagittarius is next. Happy new moon, Sagittarius. This is hitting your 11th house. Easy peasy. It's a great house, the 11th house. It's the house of the hopes and your dreams and your wishes and your ideals. It's the house of why not. It comes with it the sense that if you have a desire, that desire is built in with the prerequisite ability for you to achieve it, i.e., there are no dangling carrots in the universe. That if you want something, you can then achieve it. And that's what the 11th house asks you to do. It asks you to say, why not? Why can't I write a book? Why not? Why can't I get this script produced? Why not? Everybody else does. If you look at some of the people that have what it is that you want, you're probably going to get a very, very big confidence boost. Because there are some people that are manifesting what it is that you want, and they're not nearly as skilled as you, right? What is it that they have? Well, they probably have confidence. And that's what this house is about for you. It's about confidence. Additionally, it can be about your community. If you are looking for more support, this is a great time for you to find a tribe that aligns with your vibe, right? Find out what groups might be of service to you. Hang out with those people. Connect with friends that really work for you. Oh, thank you very much, Casmar. I really do appreciate that. That's very generous. Thank you. So with you, Sagittarius, you want to essentially follow your dreams. This is an opportunity for you to be like, okay, I'm going to go after this. I'm going to do it. And you want to collaborate with other people. This isn't a time to, hermit yourself and be in the background. You want to connect with others and you want to share. Sharing is caring. And that is a huge thing, I think, nowadays when we're talking about moving forward. It's about sharing. Even with like the advent of social media, the call to action for all of us is share this now, or share this video, or share this content. And really, the 11th house is also aligned somewhat in regard to the internet, right? It's the house that's aligned with Aquarius. Aquarius is about technology. So you might want to connect with people via online means if you're so inclined, in addition to in real life. So you also want to expand your network. The 11th house is really all about the people that you know. It's the power of the people. And it's about you allowing yourself to really tap into the energy of group consciousness. At the end of the day, the 11th house is the house of the love that you receive from other people. So are you allowing yourself to be loved by the masses? Are you allowing yourself to receive that love from many people? So expand your network. Let people love you. Meanwhile, you got Venus and Scorpio hitting your 12. So this is great. Venus is in the back of your mind. It's in the subconscious and it's smoothing things out. It's giving you a love brain, love on the brain, like that Rihanna song, right? Although I don't know if that song's appropriate, but in any case, you got Venus and Scorpio moving around your brain, and that's going to help you to alleviate any concerns. And it might even be a nice visualization. Picture a pink, think of your heart, right? And fill your heart up with love, and then, see hearts coming out of it or sparks coming out of it, and then visualize that energy from the heart going to your brain and calming your mind. Because the Sagittarius plight, Sagittarians are super smart. That's why they usually have very big foreheads, because of their broad intelligence. And the Sagittarian plight is that they think too much. And when you think too much, you lose choice. Everything has been analyzed and intellectualized. So you want to, calm down the brain and nurture your subconscious mind. But the big thing for you is to collaborate and expand your community over the next 6 months. Let yourself connect with other people, allow yourself to enjoy your friends, etc. And let's see, Sagittarius, what wisdom you get from the tarot for your new moon, solar eclipse wisdom for Sagittarius. Wisdom for Sagittarius. Wisdom for Sagittarius. Wisdom for Sagittarius. Well, look at you, Sagittarius. taking a leisurely stroll through the gardens of your estate with a falcon on your hand. And this falcon is very, very interesting. The falcon is actually said to be trained to hunt and kill on command. So essentially, what this card is suggesting is that you enjoy the finer things in life. However, do call upon your darker impulses when you need to. The example I always give about this card is this might be a lady who, she's really well off and she likes the finer things in life. But if she's coming back from the opera, she's coming back from the theater, ballet, or whatever, and somebody tries to mug her, she's probably going to kick their ass. She's probably going to kick them in the throat. So she's not looking for a fight. She's not looking to beat anybody up, of course. She's a refined woman of grace and style, but she also has that falcon, right? She can call upon her darker impulses when it serves her. So you want to allow yourself to really align with this energy. How can you enjoy the finer things in life? There's so many meanings with this card that are very, very positive. One is buying furniture. A long time ago, there's old tarot books. You'll actually see that. Buying furniture, because it's about enjoying the finer things in life. Crowley actually looks at this card as love of work made visible, meaning you love your work so much that it's creating more love, and love aligns with money. So it's love of work made visible, meaning you love your work. It's a labor of love. You get more love back, which is money. So enjoy the finer things in life, but also enjoy your independence, and don't be afraid to defend yourself if you need to, and certainly protect yourself if you need to. And happy new moon, Sagittarius. I like that for you. And Capricorn. So this is an interesting transit for you, Capricorn. The Libra new moon solar eclipse is hitting your 10th house of status, the house that your sign is aligned with. It's the house of how the world sees you. Your awards, your honors, what people say about you behind your back, your reputation, which is very important to Capricorn. The most important thing to Capricorn. It's Capricorns want power based upon how they are perceived. And it's your societal contribution. So what are you giving back to the world? What are you doing? Remember, Capricorns rule the knees. So Capricorns are of service when they're bending, when they're in service to something greater than themselves. Think of Martin Luther King or Gene Dixon, right? So what are you giving to society? Think of your long-term goals. Capricorn wants something that is measured and stabilized, and they really do believe that slow and steady wins the race. That they don't really put trust in get rich quick schemes or anything that happens too quickly. They believe that there's a quality in time, and they're very much about putting in the time, the sweat equity. Meanwhile, Capricorn, this solar eclipse could open up a whole bunch of new professional opportunities for you. What I would do, because you have Venus in your 11th, really work your networks. If you're on LinkedIn, definitely connect with the people that you've worked with in the past. However, I will caveat that with, if you are looking for a new job, or if you're getting on LinkedIn to do something outside of the job that you're in, lock up your profile. Because what LinkedIn will sometimes do is say you'll change your job. Because whenever we change our job on LinkedIn, that's usually a dead giveaway that we're looking for another job. And then what they do is they announce it to the entire world. So say you were in a job for, 4 years, but you haven't changed your profile until you're decided to look for a new job. You change that on your LinkedIn and announce to the whole world, so-and-so got a new job. She's been in the job for 4 years. Your employer knows you're looking for work. And then that's a problem if you're looking to hold on to your job if you don't find a new opportunity. So lock up your privacy settings. My big point is that your network is really, really enhanced with Venus in your 11th house. And your friends are it's very, very positive for you with Venus there. So friendships are good. Your network is good. And you want to lean on them, because you could get an opportunity now from a friend. You could get an opportunity from an old person that you work with, that you really enjoyed working with, from your network, because your network is blessed. So if you're looking for new work, if you're looking for another level of status in your life, well, work your connections. Hey, I haven't seen you in so long. I loved working with you at this place. I'm doing this now. What are you doing? Right? Connect with people. Set clear goals, though, and elevate your status over the next 6 months. Determine where you want to go and just give yourself, an idea of, well, this looks to be the different ways I can get there. This looks to be the most practical path. So let's see, Capricorn, what wisdom you get from the tarot. Wisdom for Capricorn. Wisdom for Capricorn. Wisdom for Capricorn. Wisdom for Capricorn. Here comes the sun. I love it. So the sun card, I mean, it's the most, the highest energy card in the entire deck. And really, there's nothing negative with the sun. I mean, if anything's negative with the sun, it might be a certain level of grandiosity. But in light of it being a 10th house transit for you, I would say it's great. The sun is about like acclaim and it's your day in the sun. It's you getting what you've always wanted. It's a sense of a new beginning and things being bright and victory and success. I mean, there's so many good things about this card. But essentially, what you want to do your advice is to think of how you might feel if you were a sun god or a sun goddess. You'd feel profoundly sure of your power, and you also would shine on everybody, right? The sun doesn't differentiate, and the sun is very much like Leo, and Leo on their best day is very magnanimous, meaning they are merciful in the sense that they're very, very generous, even though they might be able to call somebody out on something, they might let it slide because they're just a bigger person. So tap into that creativity, tap into that energy of abundance, especially the energy of the sun. Literally, the sun is going to help you. So allow yourself to embrace those new beginnings and allow yourself to just enjoy your life. Such a positive card, and I'm so glad you got that. So happy new moon, Capricorn. So Aquarius, visiting your 9th house of your higher mind. It's essentially about seeing things from a brighter, higher perspective. So you want to upgrade your beliefs. What's your life philosophy? Like, what are we all here for? What's the point of all this? A lot of philosophers might say, it may have been Socrates, that said, the unexamined life is what makes life, or the unexamined life the unexamined life makes life not worth living, meaning the whole purpose of life is to examine life, right? So you want to look and see, like, what is your life philosophy? Are we all here to have a good time? Are we here to help other people? Are we here to express ourselves? Like, what's the big picture here? Oftentimes, a 9th house eclipse is about a leap of faith. You might want to go on a very big journey. This could be about not just going on a trip. It could be going on a trip, but I feel like because it's an eclipse, it might have longer implications or stronger implications, i.e., you might want to move across the world. You might want to change professions. The 9th house does have to do with entrepreneurship. So you might want to start a business, a new business. In any case, you're likely to broaden your horizons. Sometimes an eclipse will happen if somebody, starts school or makes that decision. I'm going to get another degree, or I'm going to publish, or I'm going to broadcast, or I'm going to finally write that screenplay, finally put that book out. But it all is really about, at the end of the day, a leap of faith. Even going on a trip to another foreign land is a leap of faith, I think. You don't know what the hell's going on there. There might be a language barrier. You might not be able to read the signs on the road when you're driving, etc. So it takes a leap of faith. You got to say, you know what? I'm going to figure it out. It's fine. The universe is a friend. Meanwhile, Aquarius, you got Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio, transiting your 10th house. So your career gains recognition and admiration. About damn time, I might say. And that's really, really nice. So you got Venus in that area of your chart of how the world sees you. You're able to really put on a good face for the public. You got Venus there. It's very, very, very positive. I'm glad you think so too. Yeah, really, right? Right? It is about damn time. So essentially, with Venus in your 10th, I mean, it's really nice. This is an opportunity for you to really up your status. There could be some really great professional opportunities that might be very, very cushy with Venus there. Also, specifically, Venus natally, if you have Venus in your 10th house, you might do something that involves beauty, right? You might be, say, a beauty writer or a beautician or something like that. Or you might work with women, right? But you can also, I would say, with Venus actually Aquarius in your 10th, I would definitely look for women to help you or to work with. There's really positive things there because Venus is women and that's in your 10th house of status, which is really, really good. So women could be very helpful to you. Embrace learning and expand your beliefs over the next 6 months. Oh, I'm sorry, Haley. We did Scorpio already. Yeah, we did Scorpio a few signs ago, but you'll be able to see it in the replay. I forget what we said. I can't recall, but you can look back and I'll tag the videos. I'll timeline them tomorrow. I'm sorry you missed it, Haley. Marla, what'd you say? Know thyself vibes? Yes, know thyself. Sorry, Aquarius. Going back to what we were saying, it's a matter of embracing your learning and expanding your beliefs over the next 6 months. So what do you need to embrace? What do you want to allow yourself to learn? How do you want to grow? How do you want to allow yourself to expand and grow? Remember, in terms of life, we can either be expanding or we can be contracting. And in terms of manifestation, you want to get really, 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 really big. Because if you're looking the universe to throw stuff at you, you have a more chance to catch it if you're expanded and you're wide and you're huge, right? Big, big, fat, whatever you want to be. Be as big as possible, right? Because if you're restricted and you don't want to be seen and you're hiding from the world, but you're also hiding from those opportunities. So it's a time for you to really expand and grow and go beyond your stretch. Take a leap of faith. And let's see wisdom for Aquarius, 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 wisdom for Aquarius. Wisdom for Aquarius, wisdom for Aquarius. I like it. So you get 8 of Pentacles. So one of my very first tarot students told me, and this was in the 90s, she's like, she read a book in which she said that he was making trophies, which I've always kept in the back of my mind. So if you're making a trophy, it works on a few different levels. You have to be obviously very careful and prudent, in particular when you're carving your trophy or making your trophy, right? But also metaphorically, if you're making trophies, what are you doing? But you're making something that is excellent, right? You're creating excellence. And the 8 of Pentacles is all about you allowing yourself to take your time and do it right. Anything worth doing is doing right. And the 8 of Pentacles is about the power of the overall view. What's going on from this higher vantage point? Are all the pieces working together, right? And with the 8 of Pentacles, it's all about really being prudent and cautious and careful and allowing yourself to water the garden every day, right? Even if you have a goal and you say, you know what, I'm going to move 1% toward this more every day. Be it, in terms of like, say you're, trying to get into shape. I'm going to do 1% more every single day. Or say you're looking to develop a writing habit. I'm going to do 1% more every single day. That's not a lot, but it adds up, right? It adds up quite substantially. So be prudent. Don't push yourself. With the prudence card, you want to allow yourself to be very, very Virgo-y. You want to look at the finer details. You want to check and double check, because there's the philosophy. How we do the small things is how we do everything. And especially right now with Venus in your 10th, you want to make sure that you're showing up as somebody who really cares and is really diligent and determined to help. Because this card is Sun in Virgo. So you want to make sure you're very, very Virgo during this transit and that you're very focused on the other and how you can be of service to them. And it's better to err on the side of caution. Think about if you have some big plans, especially in light of your 9th house transit, you're looking to make some big plans. Well, take your time, map it all out, and see things from that higher vantage point. And happy new moon. And last but never least, my favorite Pisces, my fishies. They're so great, Pisces. So this is a time for you to die. It's time to die, Pisces. Not negatively, not literally, metaphorically. Thank you, Feisty Fiddler. Thank you very much. So House of Rebirth for you Pisces, it's a time of like death. It's an eighth house thing. So you're probably ending one part of your life and starting a new beginning. And it's probably not a bad thing. It might be scary because you might be in your comfort zone, but as you know, growth takes place outside of your comfort zone. So you might be moving to these other areas. So you want to let go. You got to let go during an eighth house transit, but you're a Pisces, so that's probably not going to be difficult for you. In fact, I think that's why Pisces are such great manifestors. Oftentimes, I see them as probably the best manifestors of the zodiac, really. You know why? Because they know how to surrender. They know how to wish for something and then let it go. And they're not holding on to dear life for their manifestation to happen because they're the sign of surrender. They know how to like let go. And I think they just are intuitively, very, very spiritual, and they understand these concepts better than any other sign typically. So you want to release any energy that you don't need, renew yourself, break free. What things are you holding on to that are just, it's more trouble than it's worth, right? And focus on your future. Where are you going, right? And part of that is, what do you really need to release in your life that's going to allow you to have that space for that new beginning? And also remember, even if you're leaving a terrible job or a terrible situation, etc., you got used to that. So you still have to mourn it. You still have to mourn it. You have to, sometimes, as strange as it might sound, we might get addicted to the toxicity that we're around, right? So we got to retrain ourselves and say, yeah, this is not the kind of love that I want. I don't know why I'm enjoying this kind of love, but it's not really what I want, or the work situation that I want, etc., etc., etc. So release, renew, and focus on where you want to go. Meanwhile, your blessings flow with grace, Pisces, with Scorpio, Venus Scorpio helping you along, which is really, really nice. So things are going to be going quite nice for you, especially when it comes to you allowing yourself to go out on a limb, to enjoy leaps of faith and going really beyond your stretch and going beyond what it is that you would normally do. Venus transiting your ninth is really also about allowing yourself to expand your horizons, and that's going to allow you to be more blessed. So if there's something you want to learn, if there's something you want to publish, if there's a trip that you want to go on, go for it. Because your entrepreneurial stuff is being blessed during this period. Anything that you write or you publish or you share, foreign trips are going to be blessed for you. So there's a lot of blessings around you, and they're flowing, and you deserve them. So focus on rebirth and shed past burdens over the next 6 months. What do you need to release in order to feel free? What new beginning is going to be important for you? I think the big thing is to look at what it is that you want. What do you really, 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 really want? And really look at the different ways that can happen. Because what's probably going to happen is you're like, well, if I want this, I'm going to have to let go of this. And it might be difficult because you might be used to it, but it certainly might be worth it if you really want that thing you said you wanted. So let's see here, Pisces, what wisdom you get from the tarot. Wisdom for Pisces. Wisdom for Pisces. Wisdom for Pisces. Wisdom for Pisces. Seven of Swords. So the Seven of Swords is essentially about planning. If you look at this card, the swords have to do with thoughts, it has to do with communications, and this guy has 5 of them, and he's on his tippy toes, and he seems to be sneaking away. So I would say the number one thing with the Seven of Swords is diplomacy. A positive meaning of the Seven of Swords is the quality of appeasement or being diplomatic. So all the swords being like, I need to be diplomatic in order to get what it is that I want. Seven of Swords, for instance, it could be planning on leaving somebody, quite frankly, and moving on. It could be leaving a job. Think of it when you're looking for a new job and you get your suit on in your car, because if you dress up nicely for work at your normal job, people, that's a dead giveaway, right? People are like, oh wow, you have an interview at lunchtime, do you? And you do. So you got to be smart and you got to be a little sneaky, perhaps, right? And I would say if you don't have to be that way, because I mean, you might not, it's really about planning and doing your research and doing your due diligence and saying, okay, well, what do I need to do in order to get this result? So I would plan things out. I would say, in light of it being an eighth house transit, if you are making a big change in your life, if you're leaving a job or leaving a relationship, you've got to make sure that you have that planning. The swords in this instance might be thoughts or ideas or research that you need to do in order to be like, okay, well, if I move, this is an option. I'm probably going to move here. If I want a new job, I have this opportunity. I have that opportunity, whatever it might be. So do your planning and determine what it is that you need to change, but what you need to preserve while you're changing it with the Seven of Swords, and plan along, just plan it all out. I would make diplomacy your watchword and just be extra careful when communicating. Loose lips sink ships, and you can't unring a bell. So you want to make sure that if you're saying something, you're doing it in a diplomatic way. The new moon is in Libra after all. And happy new moon, Pisces. And then there you have it, folks. We did it. We went through all 12 signs of the zodiac. And this is quite the long live stream. This might be the longest live stream I've done. So I so appreciate everybody in the super chats. It's been so many people, which is so great. It makes it so much easier, actually, because I get your energy and I'm able to connect with you through the internet, and helps me to do my job. So thank you for joining. You two have a great night, Casmar. Thanks, Marlo. Everybody else, so much for joining me. I shall see you tomorrow for This Week Astrology at 1 p.m. Eastern, and horoscopes for this lunation are coming up. If you're on my newsletter, you subscribe to my Substack, you'll be able to get those. And they'll also be in the link will be in the description tomorrow and for future videos when I write those. So take care, everybody, and have a wonderful, thank you, Feisty Fiddler. Wonderful to see you. Have a wonderful new moon, and I shall see you soon. Take good care. Bye-bye.